Joining us now is a man who just finished training Allegheny County teachers on how to handle gunmen with his approach. It's Sam Rosenberg. He's a nationally acclaimed specialist in training in critical incidents and travels as well as teaches the hands-on training that many people need to survive. Sam, thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
When you first heard the news in Cleveland, what did you think?
I wasn't surprised. I thought it was, this is we have we seem to have a real trend of violence that's occurring nowadays, and the phenomena of school violence is something that just seems to be increasing in scope.
Now, you're a former bodyguard, so you know how to deal with difficult people. What advice do you give teachers that are there to educate, not necessarily there to protect?
Well, I mean, the thing we have to understand is that what I teach the teachers in terms of critical incident response is I don't expect them to be professionals. They're not professional security personnel, and that in mind, all the training has to be tailored towards what they can do if it's an absolute last case scenario, and the training in no way really takes away from the other protective measures that surround the school, whether it's law enforcement or lockdown procedures or communication procedures or whether it's armed guards or guards, period. What this really comes into play is the absolute worst case scenario. If the surrounding protective measures should fail, giving the teachers a plan to respond and the physical skills to be able to respond if they're facing that worst-case shooter loose in the room. Ultimately, the most important thing that they have to understand is that without a plan in place and without any prior preparation, then most people are simply going to be helpless. And, that it's natural human physiology that if you don't know what to do, given a crisis-level stimuli, that you're going to end up either freezing like a deer in the headlights or you're going to have a panicking, almost a phobic scale response. So what my job mostly is to provide people with a certain amount of experience and some mechanics to be able to respond if they're actually faced with that type of stimuli. The motto of my company and the philosophy that I tend to live my life by is that it's really good to have a lifeguard, but at the same time, you really should know how to swim. And when I was a lifeguard for my clients as a personal protection specialist, it was really the same kind of thing, that, protective measures are excellent to have, but ultimately one should know how to swim. And that's what we're here to teach.
I'm looking at some of the footage now from some of the national cables. Apparently, the local NBC affiliate in Cleveland, WKYC, somebody had a video, and they're showing kids standing on desks, kids right involved in this as this is happening, especially at school, Sam. I mean, how do you maintain control when you have a Columbine-style attack with the kids? How do you keep them from screaming? You talk about a plan. I mean, what essentially, when a principal says, Sam, what can you do for us, what advice do you give them?
Well, the first thing that we have to understand is that without planning and without training, you really have no possible way of controlling that type of panic or that type of situation at all. And quite honestly, with training, a lot of people are still going to panic. I mean, this is just natural human physiology and psychology. But what I can tell you is that courage is just as contagious as fear. And that, quite honestly, if you provide teachers with the solution, with the right type of training, they're going to be able to get better control over a situation like this, and they're going to be able to respond much more effectively than had they not had any planning or any training whatsoever. The thing is that you can't entirely control a situation like this, but you can respond to it much better.
What causes somebody to snap like this 14-year-old boy in Cleveland?
Well, this is an area of expertise that I don't really consider to be, my specific specialty. I'm not a PhD that studies this type of stuff from the standpoint of the psychology of what causes someone to snap. I have studied it extensively because colleagues of mine have spent their entire lives studying this sort of subject. So really just kind of giving you a little bit of information as to what I have learned from them. It is something that, even the Secret Service, who has put together quite a few number of reports of this and sort of decoded this type of phenomena. The information that we have really is to some degree inconclusive. I mean, there's no real profile to the school shooter. They can be of any socioeconomic background. They can be male, female, and virtually any age, ranging from grade school age on up into college. From my standpoint, I view school shooting, workplace violence, and terrorism is really all the same fundamental circumstance. I believe that, when you look at the means and the motives, the inordinate amount of training and preparation and sort of fantasizing that goes into this sort of thing beforehand, it really all boils down to a terrorist-type scenario. And, with that in mind, the response and the training has to kind of couple to that. So, ultimately what we're really dealing with is someone who, when you look at their means and their motives, what they're really out for is ultimately the high score. They want to have body count and they want to have media notoriety. There are a few minor deviations to that, but that pretty much is the norm. Now, people have speculated that our violent society and violent video games and violent media tend to correlate to that or tend to be contributing factors, but it's really very much inconclusive. So there's no real profile per se. The only things that we know of are what they're out to accomplish, which is body count and to achieve media notoriety. And we also know that, according to the Secret Service, that they know that bullying is typically a factor. From my standpoint, I don't look at it from the standpoint of why specifically, psychologically, does this happen. For me, it's enough to understand the phenomena and to realize that this phenomena of school violence is increasing, and it is sort of marching its way up in society in terms of age and up towards the workplace, etc. And as a result of that, what are we going to do about it? And my goal is to teach people how to respond to it.
And Sam, finally, if people want more information, how can they reach you?
You can reach me either by going to my website, which is located at inpax.net. Inpax is spelled I as in India, N as in November, P as in Paul, AX, and that's inpax.net, or you can call me directly. Am I allowed to give my telephone number on the phone?
Sure.
The phone number is 412-860-2228. And that's how you can reach our firm, Impax, and myself personally. And we're available to do in-service training and on-site training for schools and corporations as well as individuals. And we frequently conduct the type of critical incident response training. We try to put them on throughout the Pittsburgh area for the community at large. So they're occasionally available, and that's available on our website, the list of when those events will be taking place.
Sam, thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. Take care.
Thank you for the knowledge. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye-bye. That is Sam Rosenberg with us, and very insightful on not just we're talking about school violence, but we're talking about violence at the workplace. You do remember, what was it, 4 or 5 years ago, where we had the shootings in Atlanta, shootings in Alabama. It was, week after week. The violence continues. I mean, is this a societal thing, or is this just a school thing?